The sun rises over the sprawling 7,000-acre Dutton Ranch, but the calm is a lie. Every blade of grass, every dusty trail holds whispers of danger, betrayal, and unfinished business. Beth Dutton's eyes flash with the same fire that has always defined her, while Rip Wheeler rides beside her with a quiet, deadly certainty. But the world outside their ranch has changed, and so has the Dutton way of life. In this new chapter, nothing is guaranteed. Every choice carries weight, and every smile may hide a knife. As the gates swing open for a new beginning, one question lingers. Can the Duttons survive what's coming next, or will the land they fought for finally demand its price? The camera would follow Beth and Rip as they arrive at the Dutton Ranch, a year after the upheaval that shook Yellowstone to its core. The air is thick with the scent of fresh grass and pine, a sharp contrast to the tension simmering beneath their calm exteriors. They dismount, the weight of their memories pressing down, the echoes of battles fought and lost mingling with the new hopes they carry. Carter, now a young man, watches from the porch, the first glimpses of maturity visible in the set of his shoulders, yet there's the unmistakable tension of a boy who has been thrust too quickly into responsibility. The ranch, still magnificent in scale, bears the scars of past battles. Fences repaired hastily, fields tilled unevenly, and barns that creak under the weight of old stories. Every corner of this land speaks of struggle, of survival, and of the Duttons' relentless claim over a world that has always tried to push back. Beth steps forward first, her boots crunching against the gravel, the familiar rhythm grounding her even as her mind races. Rip follows, silent and steady, a shadow of protection and loyalty that has always been his defining trait. They share a look, a language built of history, trust, and unspoken warnings. The first chapter of their day is devoted to scanning the horizon, the hills, the fences, and the distant line of trees where unknown threats could be hiding. The ranch is vast, but it is not immune. Outlaws, competitors, and the unforgiving hand of nature are constant reminders that peace is always temporary here. Yet, there is a strange beauty in it, a quiet hope that life, no matter how brutal, can be reclaimed. Carter approaches, tentative but determined, a young man walking the line between the shadow of his parents and his own ambitions. He carries the weight of his father's expectations, his mother's intensity, and the knowledge that the ranch's survival rests on more than just inherited strength. He's learning to ride, learning to negotiate with neighbors, learning the delicate balance of diplomacy and force that defines the Dutton way. Yet, in his eyes, there's a spark, a longing to prove himself beyond the legacy, beyond the constant cycle of threat and defense. Beth and Rip move through the ranch methodically, checking each fence line, ensuring water access, inspecting the stables. Their hands touch what they have built, repaired, and defended. Every touch is a claim, a reminder to themselves and the world that the Duttons endure. Even so, tension coils around every interaction. The distant sound of engines, the unfamiliar movements on the horizon, and the whispered warnings from neighbors suggest that this is not just a return, it is a beginning of another storm. Beth, ever perceptive, senses the subtleties. The neighbor's dog barking differently, a horse restless in its stall, the shifting wind that carries more than just dust. Rip notices, too, the muscles in his jaw tightening as he anticipates confrontation. Their eyes meet, and the silent communication is clear. Whatever comes, they will face it together, as they always have. In the farmhouse, familiar furniture and artifacts tell stories of the past. Photographs of John and Jamie, the old kitchen table scarred with years of meals and discussions, a fireplace that has warmed countless nights of planning and plotting. Beth pauses, her hand brushing against a frame, a fleeting expression of melancholy crossing her face before it is replaced by determination. Rip stands nearby, steadfast, a constant anchor in the emotional turbulence that defines life on this ranch. Carter watches, learning not just the mechanics of ranch life, but the emotional code, the understanding that loyalty, resilience, and vigilance are as essential as food and water. As the day stretches, the ranch begins to feel alive again, not just with horses and cattle, but with the legacy of a family refusing to yield. Conversations are loaded with subtext. Every laugh, every glance carries weight. Neighboring ranchers are introduced through distant glances and veiled words, suggesting rivalry, potential alliances, and unspoken conflicts. Rumors have begun to circulate about the intentions of powerful outsiders, the kind who respect nothing but dominance and fear. Beth, ever sharp, senses the undercurrents immediately. While Rip readies himself for action, his hands never far from the tools or weapons that have become extensions of his will. The tension heightens as evening approaches. The sun dips low, casting long shadows across the open fields. The Duttons gather in the central barn, a space both functional and symbolic, a place where strategy is planned, deals are struck, and families are fortified. Maps, lists, and plans are spread across the wooden table, each marking a territory, a potential threat, or a resource. The quiet hum of discussion is punctuated by sharp interjections from Beth, pointed observations from Rip, and contemplative pauses from Carter. Every decision carries the weight of survival, not just for themselves, but for the next generation. The camera lingers on their faces, determination, resolve, and a touch of vulnerability that humanizes the power they wield. By nightfall, the ranch is bathed in moonlight, the tranquility deceiving. Distant sounds, footsteps, rustling in the trees, a horse neighing, serve as reminders that safety is temporary. Beth steps out onto the porch, gazing across the fields, the wind carrying the faintest whisper of incoming challenges. Rip joins her, standing slightly behind, the quiet guardian. Carter appears behind them, symbolizing the continuity of the Dutton lineage, ready to inherit the weight of legacy while carving out his own path. The scene closes with a lingering shot of the ranch, majestic and vulnerable, promising both epic adventures and deep personal drama. The morning sun spills over the horizon, illuminating the sprawling Dutton Ranch with a deceptive serenity. The golden light glints off the fences and water troughs, painting a picture of peace that the Duttons know is fragile at best. As Beth rides along the northern edge of the property, her sharp eyes scan the hills, every ridge and every shadow. Rip follows a few steps behind, the stirrup echoes on the hard earth blending with the soft neighs of the horses. They move with a purpose, aware that every inch of this land must be watched. Their peace is new, untested, and already under threat. The events of the past year, the chaos following Yellowstone's fall, the deaths of John and Jamie, the sale of the ranch, linger in memory, a constant reminder that danger never sleeps. Carter, now stepping further into the responsibilities of the ranch, struggles to balance ambition with caution. He is eager to prove himself, but the lessons of the Duttons are etched into him. Pride must be tempered with strategy, force with subtlety. The first tension arises with the neighboring ranchers, introduced not through conflict at first, but through wary observation. Their glances are sharp, their smiles forced. Annette Benning's Bula Jackson, a figure of both charm and cunning, becomes visible in the distance, inspecting her own land with the gaze of someone who understands power but is willing to challenge it. The air between the Duttons and Bula is electric, a mixture of admiration and competition. Every interaction carries weight. A nod, a wave, even silence becomes a statement of intent. Back at the barn, Beth and Rip strategize. Maps are spread across the worn wooden table, pins marking the boundaries, the paths through the hills, and areas of potential vulnerability. The ranch is a kingdom, but kingdoms can be infiltrated. Rip runs a hand across the table, stopping at one area in particular, a low ridge that provides vantage points for outsiders. His instincts scream caution. Beth, ever fiery, is already plotting her countermeasures. Her mind is a storm of possibilities, alliances to form, traps to set, and warnings to deliver. Even Carter, sitting quietly, feels the tension ripple through the room, a subtle anxiety that is new to him, but part of the legacy he is inheriting. Outside, the first real signs of trouble emerge. A small herd of cattle appears disturbed at the edge of the property. It's a minor incident, yet for the Duttons, it's a signal. Someone has been here. Rip's hand hovers near the rifle as he and Beth ride toward the disturbance, their horses kicking up dust and tension alike. The scene unfolds with suspense as they discover footprints, human footprints, too deliberate to be accidental. Whoever is testing the Duttons knows the land, knows the ranch, and knows how to provoke a reaction. The gravity of this realization settles over them, unspoken but undeniable. Meanwhile, Bula Jackson makes her presence felt. Her approach is both strategic and symbolic. She arrives not as an immediate threat, but as a reminder that power is contested. She moves with calculated grace, her every word layered with meaning, her every gesture a subtle challenge to the Dutton authority. Beth senses it instantly. A rivalry will emerge, not of brute force, but of intellect, influence, and control. Rip observes quietly, knowing that confrontation with Bula must be measured, misstep, and it could destabilize everything the Duttons have rebuilt. Carter watches closely, learning that strength alone is not enough. Negotiation, manipulation, and timing are weapons as sharp as any rifle or fist. Even as the ranch prepares for external threats, internal tension simmers. Carter's first taste of young love begins to blossom, an innocent attraction with the daughter of a neighboring family. It seems harmless, a chance for normalcy in a world built on struggle. Yet the Duttons' instincts kick in immediately. Every relationship has risk, every moment of vulnerability a possible entry point for chaos. Beth and Rip exchange wary glances, knowing that protecting Carter may require more than gentle guidance. It may require the same uncompromising force that has defined their lives for decades. The day progresses with a mixture of preparation, observation, and subtle threats. Workers and ranch hands carry out their tasks under the watchful eyes of Beth and Rip. Every movement is calculated, every gesture scrutinized. The ranch is alive, but the pulse is nervous. Even the weather seems to mirror the tension. Clouds drift in unexpectedly, a wind picks up from the north, rustling the trees and rattling the fences. It's as if the land itself is warning of the challenges to come. As evening approaches, a more explicit threat arrives. A mysterious figure appears near the edge of the property. Hidden partially by shadows, their presence is deliberate, almost theatrical. They are a messenger, a provocateur, someone who understands the Duttons' code and seeks to test it. Beth notices immediately, her eyes narrowing with a mix of fury and anticipation. Rip's body tenses instinctively, ready to intercept, yet careful to gauge the situation. Carter, observing from a distance, feels a surge of adrenaline and apprehension. The lesson is clear: the Dutton Ranch is never truly safe, and vigilance is the only constant. The section closes with the Duttons gathered at the main gate, overlooking the horizon where the figure disappeared as mysteriously as they appeared. The wind howls across the plains, carrying the scent of both danger and opportunity. Beth's voice cuts through the quiet. "They're testing us. Let them come." Rip nods, silent but resolute. Carter clenches his jaw, understanding that the next chapter of his life will demand courage, strategy, and a willingness to step into the shadows that the Duttons have always navigated. The ranch, majestic and formidable, waits. And so does the storm. Night settles over the Dutton Ranch like a heavy velvet curtain, the stars twinkling above offering a false sense of serenity. The ranch, illuminated by lanterns and the glow from the farmhouse, feels alive yet tense, each shadow and silhouette hinting at movement, at secrets, at danger. Inside the barn, Beth and Rip move through the plans they've been refining since morning. Their dialogue is sparse but loaded with meaning. Every word is calculated, every pause a strategic decision. The presence of Carter adds a new layer. He is both observer and participant, learning that the art of survival is measured in silence, timing, and instinct. The first real spark of conflict arrives in the form of Bula Jackson. She rides onto the property just before dusk, her entrance deliberate, ceremonial even. She is dressed practically for the ranch, yet every detail, from her posture to the steady look in her eyes, signals that she is testing the Duttons, gauging both their strength and their reactions. Beth greets her with a combination of warmth and steel, masking suspicion with politeness, while Rip's hand rests casually on the holster at his side, a quiet warning that they are not to be trifled with. Bula speaks with measured confidence, each sentence layered with charm and challenge. She congratulates them on maintaining the ranch, subtly reminding them that competition is always at the gates. Every word is a test, and Beth is quick to meet it, matching her tone with razor-sharp wit and a calculated edge. Meanwhile, Carter's subplot begins to intertwine with the larger drama. His attention is caught by the daughter of a neighboring rancher, a young woman whose presence is both intriguing and dangerous. She smiles, seemingly innocent, yet Carter senses the complexity beneath her demeanor. Beth notices immediately, her protective instincts flaring, and Rip observes quietly, calculating the potential consequences. It is a subtle reminder that danger doesn't only arrive with horses or guns, it also arrives disguised as friendship, romance, or opportunity. Carter is warned in the most direct ways, though he is stubborn and curious, traits that will shape both his coming of age and the potential conflict to follow.